feel her. I hear her heartbeat. She's got his heartbeat, huh? Mighty. Bring your war here. Outcast. That's all they see.
Welcome to Z Cineplex, say your ultimate entertainment destination. Welcome to Z Cineplex, the home of entertainment, creativity, and cinematic excitement. Our channel is dedicated to bringing viewers a rich collection of engaging content that celebrates the world of movies, storytelling, and visual entertainment. Whether you're a passionate film enthusiast, someone who enjoys discovering new cinematic experiences, or simply looking for high-quality entertainment, Z Cineplex is designed to be your go-to destination. We strive to create content that is informative, enjoyable, and engaging for audiences of all ages, offering a unique blend of movie-related features, entertainment updates, insightful discussions, creative videos, and much more. Every upload is crafted with attention to quality, ensuring that our viewers receive an enjoyable experience that keeps them coming back for more. At Z Cineplex, we believe that cinema is more than just watching films. It's about experiencing emotions, exploring stories, appreciating creativity, and connecting with people who share the same passion for entertainment. Our mission is to build a vibrant community where movie lovers and entertainment enthusiasts can discover exciting content, share their opinions, and stay connected with the latest trends in the entertainment industry. We are committed to consistently improving our content, embracing new ideas, and delivering videos that entertain, inform, and inspire our growing audience. Whether you're here for movie highlights, entertainment discussions, reviews, cinematic moments, or fresh creative content, Z Cineplex promises an enjoyable journey filled with excitement, quality, and unforgettable entertainment. Join our community by subscribing, turning on notifications, and becoming part of the Z Cineplex family as we continue to explore the fascinating world of cinema and entertainment together. Thank you for your support, and welcome to Z Cineplex, wherever video brings entertainment to life. Avatar: The Way of Water is a 2022 American epic science fiction film directed, co-produced, co-edited, and co-written by James Cameron, who wrote the screenplay with Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver from a story developed alongside Josh Friedman and Shane Salerno. Produced by Lightstorm Entertainment and TSG Entertainment and distributed by 20th Century Studios, it is the second installment in the Avatar film series and the sequel to Avatar, 2009. Sam Worthington, Zoe Salda A++A, Stephen Lang, Joel David Moore, CCH Pounder, Giovanni Ribisi, Dilip Rao, and Matt Gerald reprise their roles from the original film, while Sigourney Weaver returns in a new role as Kiri, alongside franchise newcomers Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Edie Falco, Brandon Cowell, Jermaine Clement, Bailey Bass, Britton Dalton, Jamie Flatters, Trinity Jolie Bliss, Jack Champion, and others. Set more than a decade after the events of the first film, the story follows former human-turned-Na'vi Jake Sully, now the leader of a growing family with Neytiri, as they struggle to protect their children from the renewed invasion of the Resources Development Administration, RDA, forced to flee their forest homeland after the return of Colonel Miles Quaritch in a recombinant Na'vi body. The Sullys seek sanctuary with the ocean-dwelling Matka'ina clan, where they learn the customs of Pandora's reefs while preparing for an inevitable confrontation that will determine the future of their family and their world. Plans for multiple Avatar sequels were announced shortly after the unprecedented success of the original film in 2009, but the ambitious scope of the project, the expansion of the franchise into a 5-film saga, and the development of groundbreaking underwater performance capture technology resulted in years of delays. Cameron and his filmmaking team spent nearly a decade developing new virtual production techniques capable of accurately recording actors' performances beneath the water's surface, a technological milestone that significantly advanced modern visual effects filmmaking. Principal photography for The Way of Water and its successor, Avatar, Fire and Ash, 2025, commenced simultaneously on August 15, 2017, at Manhattan Beach Studios in California before moving to Wellington, New Zealand, where the majority of production took place. Filming concluded in September 2020 after an extensive 3-year shoot that was briefly interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. With an estimated production budget ranging from $350 million to $460 million, the film ranks among the most expensive productions ever undertaken. After numerous postponements from its originally planned release date, Avatar, The Way of Water had its world premiere at the Odeon Lux Leicester Square Inches London on December 6, 2022, before opening theatrically in the United States on December 16, 2022, in premium formats including IMAX, Dolby Cinema, RED 3D, ScreenX, and 4DX. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, earning widespread acclaim for its groundbreaking visual effects, immersive world-building, underwater cinematography, emotional family-centered narrative, and James Cameron's technical innovation. While some reviewers criticized its lengthy runtime and familiar story structure, it became a monumental commercial success, grossing approximately $2.320 billion worldwide during its initial theatrical release, making it the highest-grossing film of 2022, the third highest-grossing film of all time at the time of its release, and one of only a handful of films to surpass the $2 billion mark globally. The film was named one of the top 10 films of 2022 by both the American Film Institute and the National Board of Review, and received 4 nominations at the 95th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, ultimately winning the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Its success further cemented the Avatar franchise as one of the highest-grossing film series in cinema history and paved the way for the release of its sequel, Avatar, Fire and Ash, in 2025. 16 years after the Na'vi successfully defeated the Resources Development Administration, RDA, and forced humanity to abandon Pandora, Jake Sully has fully embraced his life as a Na'vi and now serves as the respected Worthington chief of the Omatikea clan, while his wife Neytiri continues to protect their people as one of the clan's most skilled warriors. Together they have built a family consisting of their eldest son Nadiam, their rebellious second son Loak, their energetic youngest daughter Taktayari, Tuk, and their adopted teenage daughter Kiri, the mysterious biological child of the late Dr. Grace Augustine's Avatar, whose unexplained birth suggests a profound spiritual connection to Iwa. The Sully children now are also close friends with Miles Spider Socro, the orphaned human son of the late Colonel Miles Quaritch. Too young to return to Earth after the first conflict, Spider has been raised by the remaining human scientists led by Norm Spellman and Max Potel. And although he lives among the Na'vi and considers Pandora his true home, he remains physically human and struggles with his identity. Peace on Pandora ends when the RDA launches a massive military expedition to reclaim the moon as humanity's new home after Earth has become increasingly uninhabitable. Vast industrial cities are rapidly constructed across Pandora, devastating its ecosystems and signaling the beginning of a new era of colonization. Among the arriving forces is a unit of recombinant genetically engineered Na'vi avatars implanted with the memories, personalities, and combat experience of deceased human soldiers. Their leader is a recombinant version of Colonel Miles Quaritch, who retains all of the original Quaritch's memories and is determined to avenge his death by hunting Jake Sully. As Jake organizes a relentless guerrilla campaign against the occupying forces, sabotaging supply lines and launching surprise attacks on RDA operations, Quaritch becomes obsessed with tracking him down. After capturing several of Jake's children during one raid, Quaritch attempts to use them as leverage, but Jake and Neytiri successfully rescue them in a daring assault. During the confrontation, Quaritch discovers that Spider is the biological son of his human predecessor. Although the RDA interrogates Spider for information about Jake's whereabouts, he refuses to betray his adoptive family. Instead of forcing him further, Quaritch decides to build a relationship with Spider, believing he can gradually earn his loyalty. In return, Spider reluctantly teaches Quaritch and his squad about Navi customs, language, survival skills, and the forests of Pandora, creating a complicated and emotionally conflicted bond between father and son. Recognizing that Spider's knowledge of the Omaticaya homeland could eventually lead Quaritch to his people, Jake makes the painful decision to leave his clan in order to protect them from further attacks. Declaring that a father protects, he resigns his position as chief and takes Neytiri and their children across Pandora to the Eastern Oceans, seeking refuge with the Mitkaina clan, an ocean-dwelling Navi community led by Tanawari and his wife Rana. Although initially viewed with suspicion because of their forest origins, the Sully family is granted sanctuary. They begin adapting to the Mitkaina way of life, learning to swim, free dive, ride aquatic creatures known as Ilu and skimwings, and survive among the reefs. The transition proves challenging, especially for Jake and his children, whose physical differences make them stand out among the reef people. While the Sully children gradually adjust, they also face hostility from Tanawari's son Onan and his friends. Nevertheless, Loak forms a close friendship with Syria, Tanawari's compassionate daughter, whose kindness helps him embrace his new environment and gain confidence. In an attempt to humiliate Loak, Onan and his companions trick him into joining an expedition before abandoning him in dangerous open waters. Alone and pursued by a massive shark-like predator known as an Aquila, Loak is unexpectedly rescued by Paikan, an enormous and highly intelligent Talcuna, a whale-like marine creature revered by the Mitkaina as spiritual equals rather than animals. Loak soon discovers that Paikan has been cast out by his own species and labeled an outcast because he violently retaliated against human hunters after witnessing the slaughter of his mother and his Talcan pod, violating the Talcan's sacred vow of absolute pacifism. Despite his exile, Paikan proves deeply compassionate, and he and Loak develop a powerful friendship rooted in their shared experiences of isolation and rejection. Meanwhile, Kiri's extraordinary connection to Iwa continues to deepen. Drawn to the Mitkaina's underwater spirit tree, she links with it and experiences a profound vision in which she briefly encounters the consciousness of Dr. Grace Augustine, whom she instinctively recognizes as her mother. Before Grace can reveal the truth about Kiri's mysterious origins, the vision is abruptly interrupted when Kiri suffers a violent seizure and nearly drowns. Jake urgently summons Norm Spellman and Max Potel, who arrive by aircraft with medical equipment and manage to stabilize her. After diagnosing symptoms resembling epilepsy, they warn Jake that another neural connection to the spirit tree could prove fatal. Though they remain unable to explain the true source of Kiri's unique abilities, the arrival of Norm and Max inadvertently exposes the Mitkaina's location. Quaritch tracks their aircraft to the eastern archipelago and commandeers a large RDA whaling vessel engaged in hunting the Talcan. Learning that the Mitkaina share a profound spiritual bond with the giant creatures, Quaritch begins interrogating villages throughout the Reef Islands. When the Navi refuse to reveal Jake's location, he burns their homes and terrorizes innocent communities in an escalating campaign of intimidation. At the same time, Loak mentally bonds with Paikan and witnesses the memories of the massacre that led to the Talcan's exile, gaining a deeper understanding of his tragic past and realizing that Paikan's actions were driven by grief rather than malice. Convinced that killing Talcan will force Jake into the open, Quaritch orders the hunting vessel's ruthless captain to slaughter the peaceful creatures near Mitkaina settlements. The hunters brutally kill a Talcan mother, harvesting only a small vial of valuable anti-aging fluid from her brain before discarding the rest of her body, horrifying both the Navi and the audience. Devastated by the massacre, Loak secretly sets out with Syria, Took, Kiri, Spider, and Onan to warn Paikan that he has become the hunter's next target. They find him already tagged for capture and manage to free him, but Quaritch's forces soon seize the children. Jake, Neytiri, Tanawari, Ronald, and the Metkayina warriors launch a rescue mission after Quaritch demands that Jake surrender himself in exchange for the children's lives. Before Jake can comply, Pyken attacks the whaling vessel with overwhelming force, smashing its engines, destroying support craft, and triggering a spectacular battle across the ocean. As the Metkayina warriors engage the RDA forces mounted on skimwings, Spider secretly sabotages the vessel's controls, causing it to lose stability. During the fierce firefight, Nadiam heroically rescues Loak, Syria, and Spider from captivity, but he is mortally wounded by gunfire while escaping. The Sully family manages to bring him to safety, but Nadiam succumbs to his injuries in his parents' arms, leaving Jake and Neytiri devastated by the loss of their eldest son. Consumed by grief and rage, Jake and Neytiri launch a relentless assault on the sinking ship to rescue Kiri and Took, who remain trapped aboard. Neytiri cuts through Quaritch's soldiers with ruthless determination while Jake confronts Quaritch in a brutal hand-to-hand battle as the vessel rapidly floods and sinks beneath the waves. During the standoff, Quaritch threatens to kill Kiri unless Jake surrenders, prompting Neytiri to retaliate by placing a knife to Spider's throat and threatening to kill him. Faced with the possibility of losing his son, Quaritch reluctantly releases Kiri, allowing the confrontation to continue. Jake eventually overpowers Quaritch, choking him unconscious before both men are trapped underwater inside the collapsing wreck. Loak, remembering the breathing techniques taught by Syria, successfully rescues his father, while Kiri uses her mysterious bond with Pandora's marine life to summon glowing sea creatures that guide Neytiri and Took safely out of the submerged vessel. Although Spider ultimately saves Quaritch from drowning, he refuses his father's invitation to leave with him and instead returns to the Sully family, affirming where his true loyalties lie. Following Nadiam's funeral, the Metkayina and Omadikea honor his life in a solemn spiritual ceremony that commits his spirit to Iwa. Overwhelmed by guilt, Jake initially tells Tanawari that his family must continue fleeing in order to protect the reef people from further bloodshed. Tanawari rejects the idea, declaring that the Sullys are now members of the Metkayina clan and that they will face future battles together. Reflecting on the sacrifices his family has endured, Jake realizes that running will never end the conflict. Accepting Pandora as his permanent home and his family as the source of his strength, he resolves to make his final stand against Quaritch, the RDA, and the human invasion, setting the stage for the continuing struggle depicted in Avatar: Fire and Ash. 2025. Sam Worthington stars as Jake Sully, a former human marine who permanently transferred his consciousness into his genetically engineered Navi avatar at the end of the first film and now serves as the respected elite chief of the Omadikea clan. Having embraced Pandora as his true home, Jake has become a devoted husband to Neytiri and a protective father determined to safeguard his family from the renewed human invasion. His leadership, military experience, and evolving understanding of Navi traditions form the emotional core of the story as he struggles to balance his responsibilities as both a clan leader and a father. Zoe Salda A++ reprises her role as Neytiri, the fiercely loyal Navi warrior, daughter of Ma'at, and Jake Sully's wife. A highly skilled hunter and defender of Pandora, Neytiri remains deeply connected to Iwa and the traditions of her people. Throughout the film, she fiercely protects her family while grappling with the emotional burden of leaving her homeland and confronting the return of humanity. Sigourney Weaver returns in a dual capacity, portraying Kiri, Jake and Neytiri's adopted teenage daughter, who was mysteriously born from the biologically inactive Navi avatar of the late Dr. Grace Augustine. Kiri possesses an extraordinary spiritual connection to Pandora and its living ecosystem, displaying mysterious abilities that suggest a unique bond with Iwa. Weaver also reprises her original role as Dr. Grace Augustine during Kiri's vision within the underwater spirit tree, providing one of the film's most emotionally significant moments. Stephen Lang returns as Colonel Miles Quaritch, the ruthless former commander of the RDA's security forces who was killed during the Battle of the Tree of Souls in the first film. Through the RDA's recombinant program, Quaritch's memories and personality have been transferred into a genetically engineered Navi body, allowing him to continue his mission of hunting Jake Sully while struggling with the complex relationship that develops with his biological son, Spider. Academy Award-winning actress Kate Winslet makes her franchise debut as Ronald, the spiritually gifted K, spiritual leader, of the Metkayina clan, the wife of Chief Tonowari, and the mother of Tsaria and Onan. Pregnant throughout much of the film, Ronald is initially distrustful of Jake's family but gradually accepts them as members of her clan. Winslet's performance was notable for setting a new industry record by holding her breath underwater for over 7 minutes during performance capture filming. Cliff Curtis portrays Tonowari, the respected chief of the ocean-dwelling Metkayina clan. Wise, compassionate, and honorable, Tonowari ultimately grants asylum to the Sully family despite the dangers posed by the RDA and later leads his people into battle alongside Jake against Quaritch's forces. Joel David Moore reprises his role as Dr. Norm Spellman, one of the scientists who remained on Pandora after the events of the original film. A longtime ally of Jake and the Navi, Norm continues his scientific research while assisting the resistance against the RDA. He also helps diagnose Kiri's mysterious medical condition after her seizure beneath the spirit tree. CCH Pounder returns as Ma'at, the K of the Omatikaya clan, Neytiri's mother, and Jake's mother-in-law. As the clan's revered spiritual leader, she remains one of the most respected figures among the Forest Navi, offering wisdom and guidance before the Sully family departs their homeland. Edie Falco joins the franchise as General Francis Ardmore, the ruthless commander overseeing the RDA's renewed colonization of Pandora. Determined to transform Pandora into humanity's new home, Ardmore directs the military campaign against the Navi and authorizes Quaritch's mission to eliminate Jake Sully. Brandon Cowell portrays Captain Mick Scoresby, the hardened captain of the RDA's marine hunting vessel responsible for pursuing the intelligent whale-like Tulkun. Driven primarily by profit, Scoresby oversees the brutal harvesting of the Tulkun for a rare anti-aging enzyme extracted from their brains, making him one of the film's most despised human antagonists. Jermaine Clement appears as Dr. Ian Garvin, a marine biologist employed by Scoresby's Tulkun hunting operation. Although initially complicit in the RDA's activities, Garvin demonstrates genuine admiration for Pandora's marine life and increasingly questions the morality of the Tulkun hunts. Jamie Flatters portrays Nadiam, Jake and Neytiri's eldest child and eldest son. Mature, disciplined, and deeply loyal to his parents, Nadiam often serves as a role model for his younger siblings while carrying the responsibilities expected of the future leader of the Sully family. Jeremy Irwin portrays the younger version of Nadiam in flashbacks, while Oliver Moore, the son of Joel David Moore, appears briefly as the infant Nadiam. Britton Dalton plays Loak, Jake and Neytiri's adventurous and impulsive second son. Frequently finding himself in trouble because of his independent nature, Loak undergoes significant emotional growth after befriending the exiled Tulkun Paikin, forming one of the film's central emotional relationships. Chloe Coleman portrays the younger version of Loak. Trinity Jolie Bliss portrays Taktayari, Took, Jake and Neytiri's energetic youngest daughter. Despite her young age, Took displays remarkable bravery and determination during the family's struggle against the RDA, contributing to several of the film's emotional moments. Jack Champion portrays Miles Spider Socro, the teenage human son of Colonel Miles Quaritch. Born on Pandora and unable to survive the journey back to Earth, Spider was raised by the human scientists who remained on Pandora and has become an unofficial member of the Sully family. Regarding Jake and Neytiri as parental figures, his conflicted relationship with the recombinant Quaritch forms one of the story's most compelling emotional arcs. Bailey Bass portrays Tsaria, the compassionate daughter of Tonowari and Ronald. Patient and kind, she helps the Sully children adapt to the Metkayina way of life and develops a close friendship with Loak that hints at a future romantic relationship. Philip Jeljo appears as Onan, the proud and competitive son of Tonowari and Ronald. Initially hostile toward Loak and his siblings because of their forest heritage, Onan eventually earns redemption by helping rescue the Sully children during the climactic battle. Wayne Evans Jr. portrays Roxo, a young Metkayina warrior who befriends the Sully children and participates in the defense of his clan during the conflict with the RDA. Giovanni Ribisi reprises his role as Parker Selfridge, the former corporate administrator of the RDA who oversaw its original operations on Pandora before humanity's defeat. Returning as part of the renewed colonization effort, Selfridge once again serves the interests of the corporation despite witnessing the consequences of its previous campaign. Dilip Rao returns as Dr. Max Patel, one of the human scientists who chose to remain on Pandora following the RDA's defeat. Working closely with Norm Spellman, Max continues supporting Jake and the Na'vi while providing medical assistance and scientific expertise throughout the conflict. Matt Gerald reprises his role as Corporal Lyle Wainfleet, one of Quaritch's former soldiers who, like his commander, has been resurrected as a recombinant Na'vi warrior. Fiercely loyal to Quaritch, Wainfleet serves as one of the primary members of the elite recombinant strike team hunting the Sully family. Among the supporting cast, Alicia Vela-Bailey appears in an uncredited performance as Zdanarsk, Z-Dog, one of Quaritch's recombinant soldiers, while C.J. Jones, who also helped develop the film's Na'vi sign language, makes an uncredited appearance as a Metkayina interpreter. Keston John portrays Tarsum, an experienced Omatikaya warrior who succeeds Jake Sully as chief of the Omatikaya clan after Jake voluntarily relinquishes leadership and departs with his family to seek refuge among the Metkayina. Together, the ensemble cast expands the world of Avatar by introducing a new generation of Na'vi characters while continuing the journeys of the franchise's returning heroes and villains. Following the completion of Avatar, 2009. Filmmaker James Cameron envisioned the project not as a standalone film but as the beginning of a long-form cinematic saga set on the moon of Pandora. As early as 2006, before the release of the original film, Cameron revealed that if Avatar proved commercially successful, he intended to expand the story into multiple sequels. While writing and producing the first film, he deliberately incorporated narrative threads, unexplored regions of Pandora, and character arcs that could naturally evolve into future installments. After Avatar became the highest-grossing film in history upon its initial release, Cameron officially confirmed in 2010 that at least 2 sequels would move forward, allowing him to further develop Pandora's mythology, ecosystems, and indigenous cultures beyond what had been possible in the original film. From the outset, Cameron envisioned each sequel exploring a different environment and culture within the Alpha Centauri star system rather than simply revisiting the forest scene in the first film. He explained that Avatar, The Way of Water would introduce audiences to Pandora's vast oceans, coastlines, reefs, and marine ecosystems, while future installments would continue expanding the world by exploring additional regions, biomes, and neighboring locations. Cameron also stated that the sequels would continue the environmental and conservation themes established in Avatar, emphasizing humanity's relationship with nature and the consequences of exploitation, but he stressed that the films would prioritize emotional storytelling, spectacle, and entertainment over delivering overt political or environmental messages. Determined to push cinematic technology even further, Cameron announced ambitious plans to shoot the sequels back-to-back and experiment with high frame rate, HFR, photography beyond the traditional 24 frames per second, believing it would create greater visual clarity and realism, particularly in stereoscopic 3D presentations. He also revealed his desire to film reference material in some of Earth's most remote underwater environments, including the Mariana Trench, using his custom-built deep-sea Challenger submersible following his historic solo dive to the Challenger Deep in 2012. Although those expeditions were primarily intended for research and inspiration rather than principal photography, they informed the design, movement, and realism of Pandora's underwater environments. The sequel was originally targeted for release in 2014, with a third installment planned for 2015. However, Cameron's creative ambitions continued to grow as he expanded the scope of the franchise. In 2012, he first hinted that the Avatar universe might ultimately consist of 4 sequels rather than 2, and in 2013 he officially confirmed that the series would become a 5-film saga, dramatically increasing the complexity of the project. During the same year, Cameron announced that principal photography for the sequels would take place largely in New Zealand, continuing the partnership established during the production of the original film. An agreement with the New Zealand government required that at least one world premiere for the franchise be held in Wellington, while production would invest at least 500 million New Zealand dollars, approximately $410 million at the time, into the country's economy through live-action filming, performance capture production, visual effects, and post-production work. To support the unprecedented scale of the project, the New Zealand government also increased its film production incentives, raising the standard tax rebate from 15% to 20%, with eligible international productions able to receive rebates of up to 25% under certain conditions. Throughout 2013, Cameron and 20th Century Fox repeatedly revised the franchise's release schedule as the scope of the story continued to expand. Initial plans called for Avatar 2 to debut in 2016, followed by additional sequels in 2017 and 2018, but the increasingly complex screenwriting process soon made those deadlines impossible. Cameron assembled an acclaimed team of screenwriters including Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Josh Friedman, and Shane Salanoa to collaboratively develop the overarching mythology and narrative structure of all 4 sequels simultaneously. Rather than assigning each writer to a separate film, Cameron held an extensive writer's room in which every installment was carefully mapped out before individual scripts were written. This collaborative process allowed the creative team to ensure narrative continuity across the entire saga but also significantly extended pre-production. By 2015, Cameron announced that each sequel would be delayed by approximately 1 year, with the first sequel rescheduled for December 2017. Shortly afterward, 20th Century Fox postponed the release once again to accommodate the growing production schedule. By February 2016, principal photography was expected to begin later that spring in New Zealand, although additional technological development continued to delay production. At CinemaCon in April 2016, Cameron officially confirmed that the Avatar franchise would consist of 4 sequels, all of which would be filmed largely simultaneously in order to maintain continuity among the young cast members and maximize production efficiency. This approach allowed the actors portraying Jake and Neytiri's children to remain close in age throughout the interconnected story despite the films being released over many years. Cameron emphasized that although each film would tell a complete and satisfying story, together they would form a single epic narrative spanning multiple generations. The production also reunited Cameron with several longtime collaborators while bringing new creative talent into the franchise. Russell Carpenter, who previously served as cinematographer on Cameron's True Lies, 1994, and Titanic, 1997, joined the sequel to oversee its live-action cinematography alongside the virtual camera system developed by Cameron's team. Production designer Ben Proctor returned from the original Avatar, while Ashrita Kamath joined the art department as supervising art director, helping design the expansive new environments of Pandora's oceans and reef villages. One of the production's most significant additions was Kirk Crack, founder of Performance Freediving International, who was hired to train the cast and crew in advanced breath-hold diving techniques. Crack's extensive freediving program enabled actors including Kate Winslet, Sigourney Weaver, Sam Worthington, and other principal cast members to perform lengthy underwater performance capture scenes without conventional scuba equipment, an achievement that proved essential to Cameron's goal of creating the world's first feature film to capture authentic performance capture acting beneath the water's surface. These technological breakthroughs ultimately became one of the defining achievements of Avatar: The Way of Water, setting new industry standards for underwater filmmaking, virtual production, and motion capture performance. The screenplay for Avatar: The Way of Water underwent one of the most extensive and ambitious writing processes in modern filmmaking, reflecting James Cameron's vision of transforming Avatar into a multi-film epic rather than a conventional sequel. In 2012, Cameron revealed that the upcoming films were being conceived as independent stories with self-contained narratives, while simultaneously forming a single overarching saga that began with Avatar 2009. He emphasized that The Way of Water would have a complete emotional and dramatic resolution rather than ending on a traditional cliffhanger. Although it would naturally establish storylines for future installments, Cameron explained that each sequel would introduce new environments, cultures, and characters while continuing the larger journey of Jake Sully, Neytiri, and their family. To accomplish this unprecedented narrative undertaking, Cameron assembled an acclaimed team of screenwriters in 2013, consisting of Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Josh Friedman, and Shane Salerno. Instead of assigning each writer to a separate film immediately, Cameron organized an extensive collaborative writers' room in which every member contributed ideas to all of the sequels simultaneously. The team spent months developing Pandora's mythology, character arcs, family relationships, and long-term narrative structure before individual scripts were assigned. Cameron believed this collaborative approach was essential to maintaining continuity across the planned 5-film saga and ensuring that events introduced in one installment would pay off naturally in later films. He deliberately delayed assigning specific writing responsibilities to each screenwriter so they would remain focused on the broader story rather than treating each sequel as an isolated project. By April 2014, Cameron stated that he expected to complete the first 3 screenplays within several weeks and reaffirmed that the sequels would enter production simultaneously. At the time, the films were still intended for release between 2016 and 2018, although the increasingly ambitious scope of the scripts soon made that schedule unrealistic. Cameron later acknowledged that the writing process proved far more demanding than anticipated because every story had to function both as an individual film and as part of a much larger narrative spanning multiple decades. The collaborative development ultimately required years rather than months, contributing significantly to the repeated delays in the franchise's release schedule. Cameron later revealed that he had pushed the writing team to thoroughly examine why the original Avatar resonated so strongly with audiences before moving forward with the sequels. He believed that simply expanding the world or introducing larger action sequences would not guarantee success. Instead, the emotional core of the story and the audience's connection to the characters had to remain the franchise's foundation. During development, Cameron became frustrated that the writers were not spending enough time identifying the qualities that made the first film so universally appealing, reportedly joking that he would fire the entire writing team if they failed to understand what had made Avatar successful. Although delivered partly in humor, the remark reflected his insistence on maintaining the emotional sincerity, universal themes, and sense of wonder that defined the original film. The lengthy writing process eventually prompted Cameron to postpone the sequels once again in 2015, explaining that developing 4 interconnected stories required significantly more time than initially expected. In April 2016, he officially announced that the Avatar franchise had expanded from 3 planned sequels to 4, creating a 5-film saga in total. Less than a year later, in February 2017, Cameron confirmed that the scripts for all 4 sequels had been completed. Looking back on the process, he estimated that writing the interconnected screenplays had required approximately 4 years of continuous work, making it one of the most ambitious screenplay development efforts ever undertaken for a film franchise. At the heart of Avatar, The Way of Water, Cameron wanted to shift the series' focus away from military conflict and toward family, exploring how parenthood transforms both Jake Sully and Neytiri. He explained that while Jake could behave fearlessly and impulsively in the original film because he had little to lose, becoming a husband and father fundamentally changed his priorities. The sequel examines the difficult balance between Jake's identity as a legendary warrior and his responsibility to protect his children. Cameron described one of the film's central dramatic questions as whether a father should shield his children from danger or allow them to face risks and grow into capable adults. This emotional conflict became the foundation of the screenplay, with every major action sequence ultimately driven by Jake's determination to keep his family together rather than simply defeating the RDA. Another significant long-term story element involved the return of Colonel Miles Quaritch. In a December 2019 interview, actor Stephen Lang revealed that Cameron had always intended for Quaritch to return to the franchise, even while filming the original Avatar. Although the character died during the climactic battle in the first film, Cameron had already envisioned bringing him back through the recombinant program, allowing the villain to evolve into one of the central antagonists across multiple sequels while exploring questions of identity, memory, and redemption. During development, Cameron also wrote an entirely different version of the sequel titled Avatar: The High Ground, producing a screenplay of approximately 130 pages that served as the original continuation of the story. The screenplay focused primarily on the continuing war between the Na'vi and the RDA and chronicled the conflict that occurred between the events of Avatar and The Way of Water. After completing the draft, however, Cameron ultimately discarded it, concluding that despite its action and scale, it lacked the emotional depth, spiritual resonance, and unexpected narrative developments that he believed were essential to the franchise. He felt the story failed to capture the sense of wonder and emotional connection that had made the original film such a global phenomenon. Rather than abandoning the material entirely, Cameron later reworked the screenplay into the graphic novel series Avatar: The High Ground, which now serves as an official canonical bridge between Avatar 2009 and Avatar: The Way of Water, while allowing the film itself to focus more directly on Jake and Neytiri's family, the Metkayina clan, and the emotional consequences of parenthood. Production on Avatar: The Way of Water represented one of the most technologically ambitious filmmaking endeavors ever undertaken. Preliminary production officially began on August 15, 2017, at Manhattan Beach Studios in Manhattan Beach, California, which served as the primary hub for the film's groundbreaking virtual production and performance capture work. Principal photography commenced on September 25, 2017, with an estimated production budget of $350–460 million, making the film one of the most expensive productions in cinema history. James Cameron and producer John Landau elected to film The Way of Water simultaneously with its sequel, Avatar: Fire and Ash, 2025, allowing the production to maintain continuity among the young cast members and significantly reduce the need for costly reshoots. Throughout production, Cameron experimented extensively with high frame rate (HFR) photography. While much of the film was photographed at the traditional cinematic standard of 24 frames per second, numerous action sequences and underwater scenes were captured as 48 frames per second, providing smoother motion, sharper image clarity, and greater realism during fast-moving scenes, particularly in premium 3D presentations. During filming, the production schedule was briefly adjusted to accommodate Sigourney Weaver, allowing her to return temporarily to England to film a guest appearance in the series finale of the long-running television drama Doc Martin before rejoining the Avatar production. One of the production's greatest technological achievements involved creating the world's first underwater performance capture system capable of accurately recording actors' facial expressions and body movements beneath the surface. On November 14, 2017, the crew filmed its first underwater motion capture sequences, featuring 6 of the 7 principal child actors. Traditional scuba equipment could not be used because the air bubbles produced by breathing apparatus interfered with the motion capture cameras and distorted the digital tracking markers attached to the performers. Instead, the actors underwent months of professional freediving training, learning to perform entire scenes while holding their breath. Another significant technical obstacle arose because the infrared light normally employed by motion capture systems is absorbed by water, preventing the cameras from detecting the performers. To overcome this challenge, Cameron's team developed an entirely new system that utilized ultraviolet illumination in combination with specialized cameras. The filmmakers also constructed 2 synchronized motion capture stages, one above the water and one below the surface, allowing actors to transition seamlessly between environments while preserving the continuity of their performances. These innovations marked the first successful use of full performance capture beneath water on a major feature film and established new technological standards for the visual effects industry. Among the film's most technically demanding sequences was the climactic underwater confrontation between Jake Sully and Colonel Miles Quaritch. The extended fight required Sam Worthington and Stephen Land to perform realistic underwater combat while repeatedly simulating choking, grappling, and near drowning. Because these actions presented genuine safety risks, the actors were constantly supervised by professional freediving instructors, underwater safety divers, stunt coordinators, and medical personnel. Cameron insisted on capturing as much authentic physical performance as possible, resulting in an unusually immersive and realistic underwater battle sequence. The extensive freediving training undertaken by the cast became one of the production's defining achievements. Under the guidance of renowned freediving instructor Kirk Crack, the actors spent months mastering advanced breath-hold techniques before filming. During production, Kate Winslet achieved international attention after successfully holding her breath underwater for more than 7 minutes, surpassing the previous on-set breath-hold record established by Tom Cruise during the filming of Mission: Impossible: A Rogue Nation, 2015. Her accomplishment became one of the most widely reported milestones of the production and demonstrated the extraordinary physical preparation required of the cast. By June 8, 2018, Cameron announced that the production had completed approximately 130 days of performance capture photography, and on November 14, 2018, he confirmed that all principal motion capture work featuring the main cast had been successfully completed. Following the completion of most virtual production, the project transitioned to its live-action photography phase. In February 2019, producer John Landau announced that principal live-action filming for both Avatar: The Way of Water and Avatar: Fire and Ash would begin in New Zealand during the spring. However, in March 2020, production was abruptly suspended after the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, with Landau announcing an indefinite postponement of on-location filming. Despite the shutdown, virtual production continued at Manhattan Beach Studios, while visual effects artists at Weta Digital and Wellington continued processing performance capture data and building digital environments remotely. In May 2020, after New Zealand successfully implemented strict public health measures, the government approved comprehensive health and safety protocols that allowed large-scale film productions to resume under carefully controlled conditions. On June 1, 2020, James Cameron, John Landau, and approximately 55 crew members returned to New Zealand aboard a chartered flight. Upon arrival, they entered a mandatory 2-week government-supervised quarantine in Wellington before being permitted to resume work. As a result, Avatar: The Way of Water and Avatar: Fire and Ash became the first major Hollywood studio productions to restart principal photography following the global shutdown caused by the pandemic. Live-action filming officially resumed on June 16, 2020, employing a substantial New Zealand workforce that included 46 local cast members, among them Cliff Curtis and Wayne Evans Jr., as well as 114 stunt performers, 36 apprentices and interns, and nearly 800 background performers. Cameron praised New Zealand's handling of the pandemic, crediting the country's health policies with enabling the production to continue safely when most international film projects remained suspended. In September 2020, Cameron confirmed that all live-action photography for Avatar: The Way of Water had been completed after more than 3 years of production. He further revealed that filming on the third installment was approximately 95% complete, with only a limited amount of additional photography remaining. The decision to film the 2 sequels concurrently proved invaluable, particularly because it preserved the natural aging of the young cast members and avoided continuity problems that could have arisen from the lengthy production schedule. The production also became notable for its economic impact in New Zealand. In July 2022, the New Zealand Film Commission disclosed that the Avatar sequels had received more than 140 million New Zealand dollars through the country's Screen Production Grant Incentive Program. The subsidies became the subject of political debate, with critics questioning the use of public funding for major Hollywood productions. Nevertheless, Government officials argued that the incentives generated substantial overseas investment, supported thousands of local jobs, expanded the country's visual effects and film production sectors, and reinforced New Zealand's reputation as one of the world's leading filmmaking destinations. The visual effects for Avatar: The Way of Water represented the largest and most sophisticated digital production ever undertaken by Weta Digital, now Weta Diaresis FX. Work officially began in July 2017, months before principal photography, with the studio spending approximately 18 months developing entirely new technologies capable of rendering realistic underwater performance capture, fluid simulations, marine environments, digital creatures, and photorealistic lighting. According to Weta Diaresis visual effects producer David Conley, the film became the company's most computationally demanding project, requiring an estimated 3.3 billion thread hours of processing to manage the enormous quantity of digital assets and rendering data. Weta Diaresis partnered with Amazon Web Services, AWS, utilizing cloud-based computing infrastructure on an unprecedented scale. Additional visual effects support was provided by Industrial Light Magic, ILM, which collaborated on selected sequences alongside Weta Diaresis's primary effects work. Together, the studios delivered more than 3,200 visual effects shots, setting new industry benchmarks for digital filmmaking, virtual production, and photorealistic computer-generated imagery. During post-production, Cameron continued refining the film's pacing and tone through extensive editing. Although the completed film remained over 3 hours in length, he intentionally removed approximately 10 minutes of gun-focused combat sequences from the final cut. Cameron explained that the decision was influenced in part by his discomfort with increasing levels of real-world gun violence, including tragedies such as the 2019 Christchurch mosque shootings in New Zealand. While he wished to preserve the film's emotional intensity and large-scale action, he chose to reduce scenes emphasizing firearms in favor of character-driven conflict, family relationships, and the emotional consequences of violence, ensuring that the film's themes remain centered on survival, compassion, and the enduring bonds between parents and children. The musical score for Avatar: The Way of Water carries forward the emotional and thematic legacy established by the original Avatar, 2009, while introducing an expansive new musical identity that reflects Pandora's oceans, its marine cultures, and the evolving journey of the Sully family. Academy Award-winning composer James Horner, whose critically acclaimed score for the first film became one of the defining elements of Avatar, had enthusiastically expressed his desire to compose music for all of the planned sequels. Horner and director James Cameron had developed a close creative partnership through their collaborations on Aliens, 1986, Titanic, 1997, and Avatar, 2009. And they had begun discussing musical ideas for the continuation of the franchise before tragedy struck. However, Horner's plans came to an abrupt end when he was killed in the crash of his private aircraft on June 22, 2015, at the age of 61. His death left the future of the franchise's musical identity uncertain and marked the loss of one of Hollywood's most celebrated film composers. Rather than replacing Horner's musical legacy, Cameron sought to preserve and expand it. In 2021, longtime Horner collaborator Simon Frangelen was officially confirmed as the composer for the Avatar sequels. Frangelen had worked closely with both Cameron and Horner for decades, serving as a music producer, orchestrator, arranger, conductor, and programmer on numerous projects, including Titanic, 1997, Avatar, 2009. And several other major productions. Having contributed extensively to the original Avatar score, Frangelen possessed an intimate understanding of Horner's musical language and was uniquely positioned to continue the franchise's sonic identity while developing new material for the expanding world of Pandora. For The Way of Water, Frangelen carefully integrated James Horner's iconic musical themes with newly composed orchestral material, ensuring continuity between the two films while introducing fresh motifs representing the Sully family's emotional evolution. The Metkayina clan, Pandora's vast oceans, and the film's central themes of family, parenthood, sacrifice, and survival. The score combines sweeping symphonic orchestration with choir, ethnic percussion, woodwinds, and a wide variety of indigenous-inspired vocal textures, creating an immersive musical landscape that reflects both the spiritual traditions of the Na'vi and the majestic beauty of Pandora's marine ecosystems. Rather than simply imitating Horner's style, Frangelin expanded upon it, composing original themes that honored his predecessor while establishing a distinctive musical direction for the future installments of the franchise. The official soundtrack album for Avatar: The Way of Water was released worldwide by Hollywood Records on December 16, 2022, coinciding with the film's theatrical release, featuring selections from Simon Frangelin's original score alongside Horner's recurring thematic material. The album received praise for its emotional depth, orchestral richness, and respectful continuation of the musical foundation established in the first film. Shortly afterward, on December 20, 2022, Hollywood Records released an expanded edition of the soundtrack containing 10 additional score tracks that had not appeared on the original album. The expanded release offered listeners a more comprehensive presentation of Frangelin's work, highlighting many of the film's extended action sequences, intimate family moments, and underwater passages that were omitted from the initial soundtrack. One of the film's most distinctive musical elements is the song chord, an original Na'vi ceremonial composition introduced as an important cultural tradition among Pandora's indigenous people. Featured prominently throughout the film, the song chord functions as a deeply personal family melody that preserves memories and strengthens emotional bonds across generations. The piece was composed by Simon Frangelin and performed by Zoe Salda A++A, whose vocal performance as Neytiri lends the song profound emotional significance during several of the film's most intimate moments. Rather than serving as a conventional soundtrack song, the song chord became an integral narrative element, reinforcing the film's themes of family, heritage, remembrance, and spiritual connection. The film also features the original end credits song Nothing Is Lost, You Give Me Strength, performed by Canadian singer-songwriter The Weeknd. The song was officially announced in December 2022 after weeks of speculation generated by promotional teasers released on the artist's social media accounts. Produced by Simon Frangelin in collaboration with the Swedish electronic music trio Swedish House Mafia, the song blends orchestral elements from the film's score with contemporary pop and electronic production. Its lyrics reflect the emotional themes of resilience, hope, sacrifice, and unconditional love that define Jake Sully's family throughout the story. Released as the film's official promotional single alongside the soundtrack album, Nothing Is Lost, You Give Me Strength, received positive reviews for successfully complementing the emotional tone of the film while introducing the Avatar franchise to a broader contemporary music audience. Together, Frangelin's orchestral score, the culturally significant song chord, and The Weeknd's original closing song create one of the franchise's most emotionally resonant musical landscapes, honoring James Horner's enduring legacy while establishing a powerful new sonic identity for the continuing Avatar saga. The Walt Disney Company launched one of its largest global marketing campaigns to support the release of Avatar: The Way of Water, promoting the film across theatrical exhibitions, television, digital media, consumer products, publishing, video games, theme parks, corporate partnerships, and environmental initiatives. As a long-awaited sequel to Avatar 2009, the campaign was designed not only to reintroduce audiences to the world of Pandora after a 13-year gap but also to position the film as a major cinematic event and the beginning of the next chapter of James Cameron's science fiction saga. Disney collaborated with numerous international brands while simultaneously expanding the Avatar franchise through merchandise, collectibles, books, and immersive experiences at its theme parks. The film's marketing campaign officially began during CinemaCon 2022 in Las Vegas, where James Cameron and producer John Landau unveiled the official title, Avatar: The Way of Water, to theater owners and members of the press. During the presentation, attendees were treated to the film's first teaser trailer, showcasing Pandora's breathtaking oceans, the Metkayina clan, and the revolutionary advances in underwater performance capture technology. The teaser later debuted exclusively in theaters ahead of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness before being released online. According to Disney and 20th Century Studios, the trailer generated approximately 148.6 million views worldwide during its first 24 hours, including 23 million views in China, making it one of the most-watched debut trailers of 2022 and demonstrating enormous global anticipation for the sequel. As part of the promotional campaign, the LEGO Group introduced 4 new Avatar-themed building sets, inspired by locations, creatures, and characters from both the original film and The Way of Water. The sets featured detailed recreations of Pandora's marine environments, including the Meet-Kaina Reef, Skimwings, Ilu, and several iconic Na'vi characters, expanding LEGO's partnership with Disney and the Avatar franchise. Disney further promoted the film during the D23 Expo in Anaheim, California, on September 10, 2022. Where approximately 8 minutes of footage from The Way of Water was presented in 3D exclusively to convention attendees. The preview highlighted the film's underwater environments, visual effects, and emotional family-centered narrative, receiving enthusiastic reactions from fans and industry professionals. During the same event, McFarlane Toys officially unveiled an extensive collection of highly detailed action figures, deluxe creature models, vehicles, and collectible statues based on the film's characters and Pandora's wildlife, including Jake Sully, Neytiri, Quaritch, the Metkayina clan, Skimwings, Ilu, and Tulkan. Additional promotional footage accompanied the worldwide theatrical re-release of Avatar 2009, which returned to cinemas on September 23, 2022. In a newly remastered 4K high dynamic range presentation. Audiences attending the re-release were treated to an exclusive extended preview from The Way of Water during the closing credits, providing another early look at the sequel before its official debut. The film's full-length theatrical trailer premiered on November 2, 2022, during Good Morning America, showcasing the film's expanded story, emotional family drama, large-scale action sequences, and the escalating conflict between the Na'vi and the returning RDA. Shortly before the film's release, approximately 18 minutes of exclusive footage were screened during the CCXP Comic-Con Experience convention in São Paulo, Brazil, on December 2, 2022, further increasing anticipation among international audiences. In addition to traditional advertising, Disney launched a global environmental awareness initiative titled Keep Our Oceans Amazing, developed in partnership with the Nature Conservancy. Inspired by the film's themes of environmental stewardship and marine conservation, the campaign encouraged audiences to support the protection of oceans, coral reefs, marine biodiversity, and endangered aquatic species around the world. Through educational content, social media outreach, and charitable fundraising, the initiative connected the fictional ecosystems of Pandora with real-world conservation efforts, reflecting the franchise's long-standing environmental message. The release was accompanied by an extensive publishing program that expanded the world of Pandora beyond the film itself. The Art of Avatar, The Way of Water, an officially licensed concept art book featuring production artwork, behind-the-scenes photography, design illustrations, and commentary from James Cameron and the filmmakers, became available for pre-order in October 2022 before launching alongside the film. Disney also released Avatar, The Way of Water as a visual dictionary, written by Joshua Izzo, which provided detailed information about the film's characters, creatures, technology, weapons, cultures, and locations, offering fans an in-depth guide to the expanded universe. Several major international corporations partnered with Disney to create promotional campaigns tied to the film. Lightstorm Entertainment collaborated with Mercedes-Benz to unveil the futuristic Vision AVTR concept vehicle, first introduced at the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in 2020. Inspired by Pandora's organic design philosophy, the fully electric concept car featured biomimetic styling, advanced sustainability concepts, and interactive technologies influenced by the film's visual aesthetic. Amazon integrated Avatar, The Way of Water themed experiences into its Alexa voice assistant, allowing users to interact with Pandora-inspired content and promotional features. Disney also established a wide range of regional marketing partnerships across international markets. In China, the company collaborated with JD.com and Alipay on large-scale digital advertising campaigns and promotional events supporting the film's theatrical release. Gaming hardware manufacturer Razer Incorporated introduced the limited edition Yaki Orochi V2 Avatar Edition wireless gaming mouse, featuring custom artwork inspired by Pandora and the Medcaina. NYX Professional Makeup, a subsidiary of L''8 copyright Al, launched a special cosmetics collection influenced by the colors, bioluminescence, and natural beauty of Pandora, including eyeshadows, face palettes, and lip products themed around the film. Food and consumer brands also participated extensively in the promotional campaign. Kellogg's distributed an estimated 53 million Avatar-themed cereal packages across multiple product lines, featuring promotional artwork, collectible content, and QR codes directing consumers to exclusive online experiences. Motorola Mobility partnered with Disney to promote the film throughout Latin America, while Deutsche Telekom supported the marketing campaign across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, EMEA, through digital advertising, customer promotions, and branded experiences. Collectively, these partnerships form one of Disney's most comprehensive worldwide promotional campaigns, helping Avatar: The Way of Water achieve exceptional global visibility before its release and reinforcing the Avatar franchise as one of the entertainment industry's most valuable and recognizable multimedia brands. Avatar: The Way of Water had its world premiere on December 6, 2022, at the prestigious Odeon Lux Leicester Square in London, England, where director James Cameron, producer John Landau, and the film's principal cast including Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana+A, Sigourney Weaver, Kate Winslet, Stephen Lang, and other members of the ensemble attended a high-profile red carpet event celebrating the long-awaited return to Pandora. The premiere marked the culmination of more than a decade of development and production and generated widespread international media attention due to the enormous anticipation surrounding the sequel to the highest-grossing film of all time. Following its London debut, the film began rolling out internationally on December 14, 2022, before opening theatrically in the United States and Canada on December 16, 2022, distributed by 20th Century Studios, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company. Unlike the original Avatar, 2009, which had been released by 20th Century Fox, The Way of Water became the first film in the franchise to be distributed by Disney following the company's 2019 acquisition of 21st Century Fox's entertainment assets, making it one of Disney's most significant theatrical releases of the decade. Reflecting James Cameron's continued commitment to advancing cinematic presentation, Avatar: The Way of Water was released in an exceptionally wide variety of premium theatrical formats designed to maximize the film's groundbreaking visual effects and immersive 3D photography. Audiences could experience the film in REL 3D, IMAX, IMAX 3D, Dolby Cinema, and Dolby Vision, with selected engagements also utilizing high dynamic range, HDR, projection and dynamic high frame rate, HFR, technology. Rather than presenting the entire film at a uniform frame rate, Cameron employed a variable frame rate system in which certain action sequences and underwater scenes were projected at 48 frames per second, while more dialogue-driven scenes remained at the traditional 24 frames per second. This innovative approach enhanced motion clarity and image stability during fast-moving sequences while preserving the familiar cinematic appearance of conventional scenes. The film's advanced visual presentation made it one of the most technically sophisticated theatrical releases ever produced and further established Cameron as a pioneer in large-format and stereoscopic filmmaking. Disney supported the release with one of the largest theatrical rollouts in the company's history. Avatar: The Way of Water debuted on more than 12,000 screens across the United States and Canada and approximately 40,000 screens worldwide, making it one of the widest global theatrical launches ever achieved for a Disney-distributed film. The release strategy emphasized premium large-format auditoriums, particularly IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and premium 3D venues, where Cameron believed audiences could experience the film as it was intended. The extensive global rollout reflected Disney's confidence in the film's broad international appeal and its status as one of the studio's most important theatrical events. The film also represented a landmark achievement in digital cinema distribution. During the 2023 Hollywood Professional Association (HPA) Tech Retreat, Disney revealed the extraordinary complexity involved in preparing the film for worldwide exhibition. A total of 1,065 unique digital cinema packages, DCPs, were created specifically for the theatrical release, making it one of the most technically demanding distribution efforts ever undertaken. These DCPs accommodated a vast range of exhibition formats, including 2D, 3D, HDR, 4K resolution, multiple brightness standards, varying aspect ratios, and numerous immersive audio configurations such as Dolby Atmos and other theatrical sound systems. In addition, Disney prepared versions featuring 51 subtitle languages and 28 dubbed language tracks, ensuring accessibility across virtually every major international market. Managing this unprecedented number of theatrical versions required the development of entirely new distribution technology. Approximately 800 digital cinema packages underwent extensive quality control inspections during the final week before release to verify picture quality, color accuracy, synchronization, subtitles, and audio performance. To coordinate the massive global rollout, Disney's distribution engineers created a specialized cloud-based DCP mastering and asset management system capable of generating, organizing, tracking, and delivering hundreds of localized versions simultaneously. The system significantly streamlined one of the most complex theatrical distribution operations in modern film history and demonstrated the enormous logistical scale required to release a global blockbuster of Avatar: The Way of Water's magnitude. Following its historic theatrical success, Disney continued to support the film through additional theatrical engagements. In May 2025, the studio officially announced that Avatar: The Way of Water would return to theaters for a limited one-week re-release beginning on October 3, 2025, ahead of the release of the franchise's third installment, Avatar: Fire and Ash. The special engagement included presentations in IMAX and 3D formats, allowing audiences to revisit the film on the big screen while introducing new viewers to the continuing story of Jake Sully and his family before the next chapter of James Cameron's epic science fiction saga. The re-release also reinforced Disney's long-term strategy of maintaining audience engagement with the Avatar franchise between installments, further cementing The Way of Water as one of the defining theatrical events of the 2020s. Following its highly successful theatrical run, Avatar: The Way of Water was released for premium digital purchase and download on March 28, 2023, through major digital platforms. The digital edition included an extensive collection of bonus features that offered audiences an in-depth look at the making of the film. Among the supplemental materials were behind-the-scenes documentaries, production featurettes, filmmaker commentary, and interviews with director James Cameron, producer John Landau, and members of the cast and crew. The special features explored the film's revolutionary underwater performance capture technology, the development of Pandora's marine ecosystems, the creation of the Metkayina clan, visual effects production, costume and creature design, and the extensive freediving training undertaken by the actors. The film made its subscription streaming debut on June 7, 2023, simultaneously becoming available on Disney Plus and Max, formerly HBO Max, in the United States as part of an agreement between the Walt Disney Company and Warner Bros. Discovery that temporarily shared streaming rights for selected 20th Century Studios releases. The simultaneous release on both services significantly expanded the film's availability to home audiences and generated considerable viewer interest following its record-breaking theatrical performance. Physical home media editions were released shortly afterward on June 20, 2023, by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment under the 20th Century Home Entertainment label. The film became available in multiple formats, including Ultra HD Blu-ray, 4K UHD, Blu-ray 3D, Standard Blu-ray, and DVD. The 4K Ultra HD edition featured Dolby Vision High Dynamic Range, HDR, and Dolby Atmos immersive audio, providing viewers with one of the highest quality home presentations available for a modern blockbuster. The Blu-ray releases also included a comprehensive collection of bonus content, offering further insight into the film's production, visual effects, performance capture process, and James Cameron's creative vision for the expanding Avatar saga. To coincide with the film's continued popularity in the home entertainment market, Disney released an expanded collector's edition on December 19, 2023. This premium release featured newly designed packaging and included additional bonus material beyond the original home media editions, such as extended behind-the-scenes documentaries, new production featurettes, deleted scenes, concept artwork, filmmaker interviews, and expanded explorations of the visual effects, underwater filmmaking techniques, and world-building that brought Pandora's oceans to life. The collector's edition served as the definitive home release for fans of the franchise and highlighted the extraordinary technological achievements behind the production. Disney continued to enhance the film's home viewing experience with the introduction of advanced streaming technologies. On February 2, 2024, Avatar: The Way of Water became one of the first major feature films available to stream in variable high frame rate, HFR, in 3D, 4K Ultra HD, and Dolby Vision through the Disney Plus application for Apple's VisionOS platform on the Apple Vision Pro mixed reality headset. The release showcased the capabilities of Apple's new spatial computing ecosystem and allowed viewers to experience the film with presentation quality closely resembling its premium theatrical exhibition, including enhanced motion clarity and immersive stereoscopic imagery. The film achieved exceptional success across streaming platforms, according to analytics firm Samba TV, which measures viewership across millions of connected television devices and streaming services. More than 2.6 million U.S. households streamed Avatar: The Way of Water on Disney Plus and Max during its first 4 days of availability between June 7 and June 11, 2023. Regional viewing was particularly strong in Portland, Seattle, and Sacramento, where audience engagement significantly exceeded the national average. Samba TV also reported that Black households and Hispanic households streamed the film at rates above the overall U.S. average, demonstrating the film's broad demographic appeal. Additional data from Nielsen Media Research, which tracks streaming viewership across television platforms in the United States, further underscored the film's popularity. Nielsen ranked Avatar: The Way of Water as the 9th most streamed film of 2023, with audiences watching an estimated 6.4 billion minutes during the year. The impressive streaming performance complemented the film's enormous theatrical success and confirmed its enduring popularity across both physical and digital home entertainment platforms, further solidifying Avatar: The Way of Water as one of the most commercially successful and widely viewed films of the decade. Box office: Avatar: The Way of Water was a monumental commercial success, grossing $688.5 million in the United States and Canada and $1.646 billion in international markets, for a worldwide total of $2.334 billion. It became the highest-grossing film of 2022, the highest-grossing film of the 2020s, the highest-grossing release in the Avatar franchise at the time of its release after the original film, and the third highest-grossing film of all time worldwide, behind only Avatar, 2009, and Avengers: Endgame, 2019. The film also became one of only a handful of motion pictures in history to surpass the $2 billion mark at the global box office, further cementing James Cameron's reputation as one of the most commercially successful filmmakers in cinema history. The film opened strongly worldwide, earning $134.1 million during its opening weekend in the United States and Canada and $307.6 million from 52 international markets, resulting in a global opening weekend of $441.7 million. At the time, This represented the 11th largest worldwide opening weekend in history and the third largest opening of the COVID-19 pandemic era, trailing only Spider-Man: No Way Home, $601 million, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, $452.4 million. Premium large-format screenings played a significant role in the film's debut, with IMAX alone contributing approximately $48.8 million globally during the opening weekend, the second highest worldwide IMAX opening weekend ever recorded at the time. Although its domestic debut was lower than some industry projections, analysts quickly noted the film's exceptionally strong audience reception, premium ticket sales, and remarkable day-to-day box office stability, predicting that it would enjoy the long theatrical run characteristic of the original Avatar. The film demonstrated extraordinary staying power throughout its theatrical run. It became only the fourth film released during the COVID-19 pandemic era to surpass $1 billion worldwide, following Spider-Man: No Way Home, Top Gun: Maverick, and Jurassic World Dominion. Reaching the milestone in just 14 days, it also became the sixth fastest film in history to gross $1 billion worldwide at the time. Continuing its impressive momentum, Avatar: The Way of Water surpassed $2 billion globally on January 22, 2023, becoming the first pandemic-era film and only the sixth film in cinematic history to reach that landmark. It achieved the milestone in approximately 40 days, making it the second fastest film ever to cross the $2 billion threshold at the time of its release. Reflecting its enormous profitability, Deadline Hollywood estimated that the film generated a net profit of approximately $531.7 million after accounting for production costs, worldwide marketing expenditures, talent participation agreements, distribution expenses, and ancillary revenues. As a result, the publication ranked Avatar: The Way of Water first on its annual list of most valuable blockbusters of 2022. Prior to its North American release, industry analysts projected an exceptionally strong theatrical performance. Box Office Pro forecast an opening weekend between $145 million and $179 million, with the potential domestic total ranging from $574 million to more than $800 million. On its opening day, the film earned $53.2 million, including $17 million from Thursday preview screenings. It ultimately debuted with $134.1 million, nearly doubling the original Avatar's domestic opening weekend of $77 million despite falling slightly below the industry's most optimistic expectations. Nevertheless, it easily claimed the #1 position at the North American box office. Analysts from Deadline Hollywood and Variety emphasized that the film's exceptionally positive audience exit scores, premium format attendance, and the favorable holiday release window indicated unusually strong long-term box office potential. The film's performance during the holiday season confirmed those predictions. During its second weekend, The Way of Water earned $63.3 million, representing a modest 53% decline, while generating $95.6 million over the extended 4-day Christmas holiday weekend, remaining comfortably in first place. Industry observers noted that severe winter storms affecting much of North America during December 2022 likely reduced attendance and prevented an even stronger performance. Rather than following the steep declines typical of modern blockbusters, the film displayed remarkable endurance. During its third weekend, it grossed $67.4 million, actually increasing 6% over the previous weekend, while earning $88.8 million during the 4-day New Year's holiday period. Such an increase is exceptionally rare for major theatrical releases and reflected outstanding audience word of mouth and repeat business. Throughout its domestic run, Avatar: The Way of Water remained #1 at the North American box office for 7 consecutive weekends, the longest uninterrupted reign for any film since the original Avatar in 2009–2010. The achievement highlighted the film's exceptional staying power and broad audience appeal across multiple demographics. By the end of its theatrical run, The film had earned $688.5 million domestically, making it the seventh highest-grossing film in the history of the United States and Canadian box office at the time of its release. China once again proved to be one of the film's most important international markets despite facing significant challenges related to the country's COVID-19 outbreak during the release period. Before the film opened, ticketing service Mayan initially projected a Chinese gross of approximately $2.5 billion. $357 million, including a possible $100 million opening weekend, although those forecasts were later revised downward to approximately $1.5 billion, $222 million, due to worsening public health conditions. During its first week, the film earned approximately $57 million, including $51.3 million over its opening weekend. Although attendance was negatively affected by widespread COVID-19 infections and temporary cinema closures across the country, the film still achieved the highest IMAX opening weekend ever recorded in China, with approximately $15.8 million in IMAX ticket sales. The film continued to perform steadily throughout the holiday season. Its second weekend generated $25.9 million, representing a 55% decline, before rebounding significantly during the New Year's holiday, when it increased approximately 42% to $36.9 million. By the end of its theatrical run, Avatar: The Way of Water had grossed approximately $245 million in China, surpassing the original Avatar's initial Chinese theatrical earnings of $202 million and reaffirming the franchise's enduring popularity in one of the world's largest film markets. Outside the United States, Canada, and China, Avatar: The Way of Water delivered exceptional performances across nearly every major international territory. During its first week of release, the film earned $307.6 million from 52 overseas markets. The largest international openings included China, $56.8 million, South Korea, $24.9 million, France, $21.7 million, Germany, $19.4 million, and India, $19.2 million. In its second international weekend, the film earned $168.6 million, declining only 42%, before increasing 6% during its third weekend with $186.7 million, another rare achievement for a blockbuster release. During its fourth weekend, the film added $132.6 million, declining only 30%, while becoming the highest-grossing film of the COVID-19 pandemic era outside North America. The film ultimately became one of the most successful international releases in cinema history. By the conclusion of its theatrical run, its largest international markets included China, $245 million, France, approximately $148.3 million, Germany, approximately $138.3 million, South Korea, approximately $105 million, and the United Kingdom, approximately $91 million. In addition to setting numerous annual box office records, Avatar: The Way of Water became the highest-grossing film of all time in more than 20 individual international territories, including France, Germany, Austria, Turkey, and New Zealand, underscoring the extraordinary worldwide appeal of James Cameron's Avatar franchise and its ability to attract audiences across virtually every major global market. Avatar: The Way of Water received generally positive reviews from critics upon its release, with widespread acclaim directed toward James Cameron's visionary direction, the film's groundbreaking visual effects, revolutionary underwater performance capture technology, immersive world-building, cinematography, and technical craftsmanship. While many reviewers regarded the film as a landmark achievement in cinematic technology and praised its emotional focus on family and environmental themes, criticism was primarily aimed at its lengthy runtime, conventional narrative structure, and occasionally simplistic dialogue. Nevertheless, The critical consensus was that The Way of Water successfully expanded the world of Pandora while once again raising the standard for visual spectacle and blockbuster filmmaking. On the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 76% based on 455 reviews, with an average rating of 7.1. The website's critical consensus states, narratively, it might be fairly standard stuff, but visually speaking, Avatar, The Way of Water is a stunningly immersive experience. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score to reviews from mainstream critics, the film received a score of 67 out of 100, based on 68 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audience reception proved considerably stronger than critical opinion. Moviegoers surveyed by CinemaScore awarded the film a rare A grade on an A+ to F scale, the same grade earned by the original Avatar, 2009A, while audience research firm PostTrack reported that 91% of viewers gave the film a positive overall rating, with 82% stating they would definitely recommend it to others. These exceptionally strong audience scores were widely credited with contributing to the film's extraordinary box office longevity. The film's visual presentation received near universal praise, with many critics describing it as one of the greatest technical achievements in the history of cinema. Numerous reviewers emphasized that the film was specifically designed to be experienced in premium theatrical formats such as IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and 3D, arguing that its immersive imagery could not be fully appreciated on smaller screens. Critics praised the breathtaking underwater environments, lifelike digital characters, photorealistic marine ecosystems, advanced motion capture performances, and seamless integration of live-action filmmaking with computer-generated imagery. Many publications described the film as setting a new benchmark for blockbuster visual effects, with several suggesting it represented a significant leap forward comparable to the technological innovations introduced by the original Avatar in 2009. Writing for the Chicago Sun-Times, Richard Roeper called the film's imagery some of the most dazzling, vibrant, and gorgeous images ever seen on screen, praising Cameron's ability to create a fully believable digital world that consistently inspired awe. Owen Gleiberman of Variety described The Way of Water as a dizzyingly spectacular sequel, highlighting its miraculously sustained action sequences, breathtaking visual scale, and state-of-the-art 3D presentation. While he admired the film's technical brilliance and immersive action, Gleiberman also argued that its narrative relied on familiar storytelling conventions, criticizing what he considered a simplistic plot, thinly developed characters, and dialogue that occasionally lacked emotional complexity. Several critics acknowledged that, despite its conventional storytelling, the film's emotional core and technical achievements elevated the overall experience. David Sims of The Atlantic wrote that audiences would likely be astonished by the film's visual ambition, although he felt the opening act unfolded at a deliberate pace before the narrative gained momentum. Justin Chang of the Los Angeles Times praised Cameron as one of modern cinema's great visionaries, commending his ability to balance intimate family relationships with epic-scale spectacle. Chang also highlighted the film's emotional sincerity, tenderness, and sentimentality, arguing that these qualities distinguish it from many contemporary franchise blockbusters. Leah Greenblatt of Entertainment Weekly similarly praised the film's extraordinary world-building, describing Pandora as an immersive cinematic environment unlike anything previously achieved on screen. She noted that the meticulous attention to environmental detail, creature design, and underwater ecosystems created one of the most enveloping theatrical experiences in recent memory. Despite the overwhelmingly positive reaction to the film's technical accomplishments, a number of reviewers expressed reservations about its narrative structure. The most common criticism centered on the film's 192-minute runtime, with some critics arguing that the story lacked sufficient complexity to justify its length. Others felt that several scenes prioritized visual spectacle over narrative progression and that certain plot developments followed predictable blockbuster conventions. Nevertheless, even many mixed reviews acknowledged the unprecedented quality of the film's visual presentation and recognized Cameron's continued willingness to push the technological boundaries of filmmaking. Among the more critical assessments, Anthony Lane of The New Yorker argued that the story unfolded at an excessively slow pace but nevertheless praised the choreography, scale, and clarity of the action sequences. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian criticized what he considered the formulaic and emotionally uninvolving screenplay, describing the plot as overly familiar while expressing less enthusiasm for the film's visual style than many of his contemporaries. In contrast, Mick Lossale of the San Francisco Chronicle singled out the film's stereoscopic presentation as one of the finest examples of 3D cinematography ever produced, asserting that Cameron once again demonstrated how the format could meaningfully enhance cinematic storytelling when used effectively. Not all critics were convinced by the sequel's artistic ambitions. Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph criticized the screenplay for what he viewed as weak dramatic stakes, underdeveloped characters, and uninspired dialogue, arguing that Cameron's celebrated creativity was less evident than in some of his earlier work. Drew Hayden Taylor, writing for the Toronto Star, observed that the film received a mixed response from some Indigenous commentators in Canada, who questioned aspects of its cultural representation despite its environmental themes. Taylor also found the narrative predictable and overly familiar, although he acknowledged the film's extraordinary technical accomplishments. In retrospect, Avatar: The Way of Water has come to be widely regarded as one of the most significant technological achievements in modern filmmaking. While opinions on its screenplay remain divided, critics overwhelmingly agree that the film represents a milestone in visual effects, virtual production, underwater performance capture, and immersive 3D cinema. Its combination of critical approval, exceptionally strong audience reception, numerous awards including the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and record-breaking commercial success further solidified its reputation as one of the defining cinematic achievements of the 2020s and a landmark chapter in James Cameron's Avatar franchise.